Good morning. Today's notes will be on page 9 of your notebook. And today's essential question is, how did art change during the Renaissance? Now, during this slides presentation, if you have any questions, go ahead and write them down here, as well as remembering that you are now responsible to write down your own notes. We will go over these in class as well to check to see what you have written down. First thing we're going to go over is the styles of art and the changes. So we have to start with medieval art. This is the early period in time of feudalism, where you have Clovis and Charlemagne, who are leaders and kings in Europe, and the rise of the Roman Catholic Church. And those styles are going to be very flat looking. If you notice here, you can't tell which part of this robe is forward and which one is in the background. You can't tell very much if the wall is in the foreground and the hands are in the background, or the hands are in the foreground and the wall's in the background. We basically have to make our own assumptions. Also, it's not really proportional. If you look, this guy's hands are as big or bigger than his entire head. But they're way bigger than his feet. If you look over here, this guy's hand this angel is obviously weird looking. He has two thumbs on one hand pointing in opposite directions. His chest and body area is unproportional to where his neck is. This arm apparently lost its shoulder. So not very real looking. You get the point of the picture, but not very real looking. It's just two-dimensional. As well as most of the art in medieval art is going to be religious. You can see here we have an angel, we have a saint, and people, when they look at this picture, are going to say, oh, okay, this is a religious painting. And in medieval art, most of the art is going to be religious. Now we're going to go into Renaissance art. In Renaissance art, we're going to begin to see natural settings like landscapes, outdoor settings like forestry and rivers. We're going to see proportional bodies that are clothed. We're going to see secular or non-religious paintings start to rise, as well as religious paintings are going to stay as well. They're not going anywhere. Facial expressions and emotion are going to be really big. If you remember from humanism, we are focusing on in the worth or value of the human. And if you also remember from our video last week, art during the Renaissance is going to do its best to emulate the human form. And we're going to see a lot of emotion as well as natural body positioning, whether it's moving a body or a relaxed body. Just a body looks very natural in movement or in position. Here we have this sculpture I showed you before, and we're going to take some different looks at it. Here is the front picture of it. Here is a picture from the top. And we are going to look at the realism of this, how real this really looks. And if you look, here is Mary's hand, and they all point, it looks, to here. You can see the creases in her fingers, her fingernails, the cloth against her fingers as she's holding the body here, and also the movement of the muscles here in the arm, how they would really look if you were to put your own arm or your own hand underneath your arm and between your body and squeeze your arm. Your muscles would move. And this is a very real graphic look of what it could look like. So really about natural and realism in the human body. Also facial expressions. Here you can't see it too well. We come over here and we can, but we get a close-up. That could be someone's real face. It just looks so real. I mean, I think it pretty much speaks for itself. Also, you have the facial hair, the lines in the hair for each strand, the waviness, the locks, the curl. Okay, nostrils in the nose. You see the brow here where the eyebrow area is sort of standing out a little bit more than the forehead area, making it more defined. And we have Mary over here saying, well, she has a very somber or sad looking face. The folds in her shawl that covers her head, very real looking. You can believe that this would possibly be a real human being. And look at the detail into the cracks and crevices of this. This is a solid piece of stone that was carved into. Okay, this takes a lot of time and probably very, very tedious. But it looks so real. Just a quick topic on secularism. Secularism is the moving away from religion. If you look at this painting over here, this is not a Renaissance painting. It's just one I want to show you for an example. There's nothing to do with religion in here. It's just a field of flowers and a lady with an umbrella enjoying a walk with her child. It's not having anything to do with religion. It's just focusing on nature. We see landscapes here and the human, okay, the individual, in this case individuals, and life. Nothing to do with religion. So we're going to talk about another artist, and this one is going to be Leonardo da Vinci, probably the most famous artist of the Renaissance. And he's most famous for this painting, the Mona Lisa. Many people argue that this picture is Leonardo doing a self-portrait of himself when he was younger. Don't really know for sure. Also, the imagery, this imagery here looks very, very far away in the background, but this imagery of the nature, the landscapes, looks in the foreground. And you can't see it, but if you were to put your finger to the screen and cross over one half of her face, on one side Mona Lisa would be appearing to smile, on the other side she would be appearing to frown. And we start to see here the natural body positioning of her hands in a portrait position. You can see her shawl here is somewhat see-through, and you can see here her shawl covering her head is see-through. You see that line, but you can still see through it, whether it's forestry in the background or her brow. Also notice the creases in her clothing and the realism of it. Leonardo is also famous for some great drawings and ideas. He is what we call a Renaissance man. Okay, and here is his famous flying machine or gyrocopter, somewhat like a helicopter used for flying. He was also known for doing portraits of the human body. Leonardo, and we'll get into this tomorrow, like other people in the medical field, would actually dissect human bodies to learn about them and then draw them out. Notice how real this looks. If you were to pick any of your science books today and you were to see an image like this, more than likely the work and the artwork was started by someone in the Renaissance, whether it's Leonardo or somebody else. This is where medicine really starts to take off, and we'll get that more tomorrow. Lastly, here's a picture of Leonardo drawing a picture of the womb. Think about it. At this point in time, there's no internet, there's no x-ray machines, there's no ultrasound machines, and he's able to draw an interpretation of what a baby in a womb looks like.